Alright, so this video we're going to be covering a quick 4 tire change. We're going to be focusing on the rear, because that is the more complicated one. The front, relatively simple. Both front and rear are split rim designs, meaning both halves of the rim come apart, allowing easier installation and removal of the tire into two. On the rear, your mudguard is in the way, so we're going to get that off. We have 1, 2, 3 and 4 screws, 3mm hex socket, this one down here is actually holding the drum brake in place. Okay, we don't want to pull it because the tail light wire is connected on the back side over here. We just need it loose and out of the way because otherwise the rear wheel won't be able to come off. Next step, take off the axle nut boot covers. 2 different sizes, left and right. So I'm going to be using an adjustable wrench just to loosen them up. I've got the stool or the scooter up on a stand right now. It's easier to work on if you have it on a stool or just an elevated surface. You can definitely work on this on the floor as well. Once the motor is off, you're going to want to have somewhere to put it. You got that done, and then you need to loosen the brake cable. Enough for that to come out. And maybe loosened it enough. No, a little bit more. If you do have it up in the air right now, you want to make sure that it's supported because these notches are a bit of an angle. That's good. And there are 2 more screws just holding the motor cable in place. Just a little plastic bracket on the side. This one. There's the other. So now that's free. Brake cable out. Bring this around to the other side. We'll need to cut the zip tie back there. So we have some extra slack to the motor around. Yep. Okay, so where we want to be is on the other side. If you don't have enough slack, I'm using this just to hold it in place, but you might be able to pull a little bit of motor cable out from the side cover. I don't have enough slack. I'm just going to use a piece of foam. How about a rag instead? Just something so you're not putting a lot of tension on the motor cable, but so you're not scratching the deck of your vehicle either. So we need to access these screws right here. We have a flat. We're going to separate it so we can get the tube and the tire off. These are 4mm. Right, I'm struggling with this, so let's tuck that down there for now. If you're doing this to change your tire and you don't have a flat, you're going to want to make sure that you deflate the tube inside first. Otherwise, once you start separating this, the pressure inside is going to split it apart forcefully. And that can end up breaking things, including the rim, as well as damaging the tire and possibly your motor. See right here, the rim is split. You notice there's a notch here. That's for the valve on the tube. When things go back together, you want to make sure the valve lines up with that and it's pointing out that direction. Tuck that down there. So now, everything's apart. You can see the tire and tube. You'll notice it's on the inside, less easy to access. So what we're going to have to do is press it over the motor. I'm going to take out the tube, separate the tube from the tire. If you're just replacing a tube, this is all you need to do. Let's point that a bit more. So if you're just replacing a tube, just like so. Slips over there. Okay, that's nice and easy. But if you need to replace the tire as well, you're going to want to press it down. So if we take a look this way, over here, you're going to want to hook the bottom of the tire under the axle where the motor cable comes out. Okay. And it may help to remove the drum brake. We're going to see if we don't need to at this point. And then I'm going to press down up towards the top to get it sliding to the other side of the motor. Okay. Not that difficult, you just need to get the right angle on it. Alright, putting everything back together. We've got our tire, we've got our tube. If you're putting it back together, take note of the rotational direction. Most tires will have that label. These tires, they don't really matter. They're pretty much the same, forwards and backwards. Some tires it doesn't matter though. So for this one, brakes are going to be on the right-hand side. So rotation, we want forwards, going with that. I like to move the drum arm up, just so it's out of the way. And same as before, coming at an angle. If you try and do it straight on, it's going to be a lot more work. So coming down, like so. If you have a new tire, it might be not as stretchy as a used tire. So you may want to use some soapy water. And having a platform that doesn't move too much on you also helps. there. There we go. So, and the tire. Tube next. So remember the valve is pointing away from the drum brake side. That one's super easy. Okay. So fit the tube inside the tire. There we go. And we'll seat it in there, like that. The other half of the rim, line up that notch with that valve. Alright. So now, you need to make sure the holes for each half are lined up. There we go. So I like to do this with the tire, or pardon me, the tube partially inflated. It helps keep it from getting pinched and getting in the way. You're going to start these with an Allen wrench. And finish it off with a drill. So now we've got everything lined up. It's a good point at this time to inflate, just so that if you find something wrong, you haven't installed it already and then have to undo it. So inflate the tire. Note, once it goes back on, if there is any wobble, if you find that it is straight, it's in the dropouts at the right spots, but there's some warp to the tire, it could be that you have pinched the tube and that's what's causing it to warp. Putting the wheel back, put it in like this. However, the mudguard, that cable needs to run on the inside of the fork. If it looped around during your service, you want to make sure it comes up through the middle before you put the wheel back on. So we have this set screw right here holding the drum brake in place. Okay, we can put that in to give ourselves a little bit of breathing room so that we have some extra hands. There we go, that should hold everything in place. Don't need to tighten it all the way down, just enough to have your hands free so that you can do some other work. Okay. Just tighten up on that one. And snug that one up as well. So the axles are done. Let's tighten up the brake cable. There is a groove in this arm, just down here. You want to make sure the cable sits in that when it's getting squeezed right there. Okay, and we have our mudguard in place. We have 3 screws on this one on this side, 2 on the other side. Finally, on the other side, we have our cable management clip. That holds the tail light and the motor cable up and out of the way. Just like so. There we go. That's a flat tire change or tire swap on a quick 4. As mentioned in the beginning, the front is very similar, if not easier. We have split rim design. 1, 2, 3 screws. So take out the axle, take out the screw holding the drum brake in place. Loosen the brake line. You can take it off the front. Split the rim and it comes apart nice and easy.